Well, my slides are also out of order, but we won't let that deter us. I have two projects to present to you. They're both from this year. One is here outside of the PechaKucha Center. It's called Stone Clouds. The other is in the Highlands of Scotland. Here in Shelburne, with students from Charlotte School, we were able to put together what is known as Stone Clouds with 251 stones, same number of stones as there are towns and cities in Vermont, into a sculpture made from 200 feet of steel tubing, 1,200 feet of 12-gauge wire, and the stones. Maybe I'll just read a few of my thunkets. I go to work each day unsure as I am certain. Before starting a project, I'm also often making clay models. I like clay for its tactile sense and the time it takes to make something in a model gives me a venue into the piece I'm making in its final stages. For Stone Clouds, there was a process of carving foam into 3 cloud shapes, tying wire baskets around them, sawing the foam back out, setting the frames, the clouds in the frame. Balance is asymmetry in motion. In the Highlands, I was making a permanent piece for a temporary advertising campaign for a whiskey distillery. This is the excavation for that work. I was in Scotland working 2 different years, 86 and 94. Got to work with different types of stone, but not sandstone. And here I was able to find a collection of stones formerly from pieces of architecture that I was able to incorporate into the work. You might expect in Great Britain to run into royalty, and Ellen and I did on this project, although Albert is the Prince of Monaco. You can see by the work that there are a number of layers to it. They came from the design on what's known as the Cadboll stone, a Pictish stone from 1,500 years ago. Taking a small portion of that carved stone, using it as the basis of my design, and exploding it 3-dimensionally into something that could become a piece of permanent land art. In the process of making something in the landscape like this, I go from the scale model to a full-scale, 2-dimensional design in plastic. So I had 5 sheets, 16 by 16, that I traced the pattern on in my studio, packed it up, brought it with me to Scotland, put it back on the ground, and from that pattern was able to establish the position of the work on the ground. That same process I was using here in transforming Stone Clouds from its first position at my studio, bringing it here to reassemble. Susie Zahner helped me that day, and what she's doing is removing the plastic from the ground under the legs of the framework. Getting myself out of trouble I put myself in is half the job. I was only able to come into this garden space through one spot with the equipment, so it meant starting to build from one end and working my way back to that opening again, one bag full of stone at a time. With the pattern of the work placed back over the foundation after it had been filled in with crushed stone, I pounded nails skewered with plastic tape through the plastic, and that became my permanent markers on the ground for making the sculpture. The wood frames describe the batter, or the slope of the faces of the walls, and the string line is the established top line and also the angle that each course of stone was set at. Setting up stone clouds at the studio first gave me a chance to make sure that things that weren't overstressed, and that leaving it up for a few weeks, I knew that it would hold together here for the time it's outside Pizzagalli Center. The materials I used are common in agriculture since I was partnered with the Medowee Valley. In sugaring, often bar ties are used to hold pipelines to wires. And this is the Medowee Valley with one of the temporary structures that you might see there. So going from the geology of the landscape with glacial till stones that had fallen out of the sky and onto the ground, out of the glaciers, the idea of stone clouds was to take those same stones and lift them back up overhead. Art is the offspring of invention. Thank you.